Today on the Roundup, a last-minute extension for Kingston's monitors. Wangaratta flags its exit from aged care. E-bike clutter targeted in New South Wales as Sutherland Shire deals with e-bike vandalism. More big council budgets landed in Queensland. New councillors incoming in Western Australia. And a local authority chief tapped to become Chief of Staff for the UK's likely new Prime Minister. Hello there, I'm Chris Eddy, back with more news from and about councils across Australia and beyond on the Local Government News Roundup. Brought to you by the VLGA, our founding sponsor and the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and from Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. It's Wednesday, the 1st of July. Let's look at what's making local government news today. In Victoria, municipal monitors at Kingston City Council won't be moving out just yet. John Tanner and John Watson, appointed last year to observe the council's governance, have been given another last-minute extension to their term. They were due to finish yesterday and submit their final report to the Minister for Local Government within weeks. However, the council announced last night that the local government minister Paul Hamer has decided to keep them in place until after the upcoming by-election to fill a vacancy in Melaleuca ward after the resignation of Tess Law in March. Mayor Georgina Oxley says the council has focused on delivering services and infrastructure throughout the monitoring period and would continue to do so through the extended appointment of the monitors. The term is now set to conclude on the 14th of August, with a final report due after that. The rural city of Wangaratta looks to be the next council to exit delivery of aged care services. It has confirmed its intention this week following an independent review that found the current model is no longer sustainable under new funding and regulatory settings. The council says there are no immediate changes, with clients to continue receiving support as usual while consultation occurs with staff, carers and families. If the transition proceeds, supported home services would end by late September, with other programs continuing until mid-next year. The Star Weekly reports this week that Melton Council will formally lobby the state government for a major overhaul of bus services across the municipality. Councillors want longer operating hours from 6 in the morning to 10 at night, plus buses every 20 minutes in peak times and at least every 40 minutes off-peak and on weekends. They're also pushing for new north-south routes to better link suburbs with town centres, rail stations and key projects, including the future Melton Hospital. 3 Gippsland Shires are joining together to roll out a new food and garden organics bin service. Bawbaw and Wellington will start next Monday, July 6, while South Gippsland gets off the mark from today. The collected waste will be processed in Morwell into compost, with councils urging households to check local guidelines on what can go in the new FOGO bins. The city of Greater Dandenong is considering establishing its own animal pound after managing a major surge in lost cats blew its animal services budget by $736,000. A report in the Dandenong Leader reveals the council's transitional contract with the Lost Dogs Home will rise to $1.82 million for the upcoming financial year. Councillors will be briefed on options for a dedicated municipal facility later this year to mitigate future financial exposure. Bayside City Council has committed nearly $700,000 to recreational biking infrastructure in its latest budget. As reported by The Age, the funding allocates $350,000 for a new purpose-built pump track, alongside $347,000 to upgrade an existing dirt track in Cheltenham. It marks a notable policy shift for the council following strong community advocacy after officials initially moved to dismantle a makeshift BMX course last year. Surf Coast Shire has approved a contract with Belgravia Health and Leisure Group to manage its aquatic facilities. Under the agreement, the external operator will oversee the new Wordie Bay Aquatic and Recreation Centre in Torquay, scheduled to open early next year, as well as the recently refurbished Winchelsea swimming pool. And Moonee Valley City Council is calling for First Nations artists to design a permanent Stolen Generations marker for Napier Park. The initiative is part of the council's reconciliation plan and is open to artists with a connection to Victoria. Expressions of interest are open now and will close on the 9th of August. The National Growth Areas Alliance will hold its first Emerging Growth Areas Forum on Tuesday the 4th of August at Hume City Council Town Hall in Broadmeadows. The event will bring together councillors and officers from growth councils across Australia to share lessons on managing rapid population growth and housing delivery. It runs alongside the NGAA's National Congress, with registration now open for all local governments. In news out of New South Wales, the government has announced a $6.6 million funding program to help local councils manage shared e-bike clutter. Under the new regulatory framework, councils will gain powers to establish mandatory parking bays, designate no-go zones and penalise non-compliant operators. The initiative, funded by a trip levy on operators, aims to reduce footpath obstructions by half. Sutherland Shire Council is investigating after parkland at the Burnham Sanctuary in Wangaratta was damaged by an e-bike rider over the weekend. The Wangaratta River Community Association reported the incident to council after wet parkland was left severely torn up on Sunday afternoon. St George and Sutherland Shire leader reported that the vandalism follows growing council and community concern regarding illegal e-bike rider behaviour on public reserves. In a related story, the leader reports the council is open to a proposal from Lime Bikes to extend its service into the Shire as those new state rules come into effect. The City of Newcastle has condemned a spate of thefts and vandalism across local sporting grounds and public infrastructure. It says damage at Lambton's Kentish Oval and Smith Park has disrupted clubs and volunteers, while two fast EV charging stations in Hamilton and Newcastle West remain out of action after their cables were stolen. Repairs are underway and replacement cables have been ordered, with the incidents reported to New South Wales Police. Northern Beaches Council is proposing to extend the Mona Vale Beach South off-leash dog trial for another 12 months through to October 13 next year. The trial began in October last year and was due to end this coming October, but the council says the extension will avoid disruption while results from the first year are assessed. If approved, rules and time restrictions would stay the same, with fines of up to $330 for breaches, according to the Manly Observer. And a major clean-up operation in the Tumut State Forest has successfully removed up to 30 tonnes of illegally dumped rubbish, including 8 abandoned vehicles. The joint initiative involves Snowy Valleys Council, National Parks and Wildlife Service, Forestry Corporation and the Brungle Tumut Local Aboriginal Land Council. Officials confirmed that investigations are now underway after personal information was recovered from the debris, with offenders facing significant penalties. In Queensland, Toowoomba Regional Council has handed down a $728 million budget focused on infrastructure and financial sustainability. Mayor Jeff McDonald confirmed a base general rate rise of 6.9%, balancing cost of living pressures against rising material and energy costs. Key allocations include over $81 million for the Crestbrook Dam Safety Improvement Project. Waste charges will remain steady following the state government's decision to transition the council to a regional waste levy zone. Redland City Council has adopted a $468 million operating budget, locking in a 5.47% general rates increase. Acting Mayor Julie Talty said the rise equates to roughly $1.64 a week for a median owner-occupied property, with the council absorbing $14.5 million in costs to limit that increase. The budget also introduces new rating categories for shopping centres and retirement villages, according to reporting from the Redland Bayside News. Hobart City Council in Tasmania has scrapped plans for a fenced dog park in South Hobart following strong community backlash. Pulse Tasmania reported the $180,000 project at Lower Wellesley Park was dropped after consultation found about 80% opposed dividing open green space with fencing. The council says the park will remain off-lead, but a separate dog ban at South Hobart Oval will still take effect from today. The city of Mount Gambier in South Australia is rolling out a new cats bylaw after a 2025 review backed by subsidised desexing and free microchipping programs that proved so popular vouchers were fully taken up. From today, all cats must be registered with the council, with cheaper fees for desexed and microchipped pets. The bylaw also introduces a 3-cat limit per household, with transitional arrangements for existing owners. Over in WA, the Shire of Manjimup's Director of Infrastructure Services, Catherine Mills, has won the National Women in Local Government Award at the National Awards for Local Government in Canberra. The Shire says Mills has been recognised for driving cultural change and delivering major infrastructure projects across the region. The Shire of Chittering has sworn in a newly elected councillor. Renee Van Eden was welcomed to the council at a swearing-in ceremony on Monday afternoon after a recent extraordinary election triggered by the resignation in March of former Shire President Mark Campbell. Meanwhile, at the Shire of Brookton, Carlo Andretta has been elected in an extraordinary election to complete a term that expires in October 2027. That followed the resignation of Tamara DeLang from the council in February. And a United Nations delegation has visited Kalgoorlie Boulder to study how resource-rich communities transition into sustainable regional hubs. Senior government officials from Laos and UN representatives met with city leaders at the Kalgoorlie Town Hall for discussions focused on crucial regional challenges, including workforce retention, housing affordability and managing FIFO workforces. The delegation also toured the iconic Super Pit to examine the ongoing economic impact of local mining operations. This is your 1 July edition of the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the VLGA with support from Symphony 3 and Rath Engineering Development. You can find out more about our terrific sponsors by heading to our website, lgnewsroundup.com. And while you're there, check out the weekly poll. The current poll closes today. We're asking your opinion on whether political donations to council candidates should be banned. And currently it's running at a very strong yes vote, but a few people are unsure or don't think that should be the case. Have your say today before we close that poll and introduce a new one, and we'll bring you the results in the next couple of days. Now to our global news, and we've got some USA and New Zealand news in just a moment, but let's go to the UK firstly, where the likely incoming Prime Minister Andy Burnham has asked Greater Manchester Combined Authority Chief Executive Caroline Simpson to become his Deputy Chief of Staff, leading a new Number 10 North unit based in Manchester. The role will oversee the devolution of power and resources to English regions, a centrepiece of Burnham's policy platform, according to The Guardian. Devon County Council is aiming to introduce a directly elected mayoralty, with elections potentially taking place as early as next May. Council leader Julian Brazil says the model will give local government greater control over housing and economic infrastructure. The Exmouth Journal reports that preparatory discussions with government officials have already commenced. It would make Devon one of the first in England to adopt the model under the new wave of devolution. In Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson has introduced a Protect Renters Ordinance, amending the city's residential tenant ordinance. The proposal would require landlords to give valid reasons for non-renewal of leases, contribute to relocation costs where tenants are displaced through no fault of their own, register rental properties with the city and fund a new enforcement agency through a registry fee. Details on that from CBS Chicago. From CBS Minnesota, in Minneapolis, Ward 10 Council member Aisha Chugtai has announced a month-long leave of absence for outpatient mental health care, citing the cumulative impact of a high-stakes election, mass shootings and a federal occupation. Her office remains open and she's expected to return before the council's 30 July meeting. In New Jersey, Jersey City Mayor James Solomon has revised a proposed 20% property tax increase down to 15% after securing $120 million in state aid to help close a $255 million budget deficit. The revised figure goes to council for approval on the 15th of July, with further spending cuts flagged. And to New Zealand, where Gore District councillors have this week closed a code of conduct matter against Councillor Donna Bruce, who used a slur to describe a staff presentation in April. An independent investigation found the breach was not significant or serious, and Bruce has apologised at Tuesday's council meeting. Several councillors questioned the cost and proportionality of the process, with Bruce calling for early adoption of LGNZ's new standardised code of conduct. More on that from Radio New Zealand, which also reports that Pararura City Council is urging residents to check their enrolment ahead of a by-election in the Onopoto General Ward following the sudden death of long-serving councillor Mike Duncan earlier this month. Mr Duncan, a former newspaper printer and designer, had served on the council for 10 years. Nominations for the by-election open on the 9th of July, close on the 6th of August, with postal voting closing on the 16th of October. You have been listening to the Local Government News Roundup for Wednesday the 1st of July 2026. If you'd like to know more about any of the stories in today's episode, head to lgnewsroundup.com where you'll find a transcript and story links. The Local Government News Roundup is brought to you by the VLGA, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. And a heartfelt thank you to our listeners who help make the podcast possible by supporting us through a monthly subscription. Support starts at $3 per month, around $5 Australian. And you can cancel your subscription at any time. You'll find the details on the website or in the podcast player. Thank you so much for your support. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more.